If you're looking to build a custom home in Cincinnati, this is the video for you. There are a countless number of builders and contractors out there that you need to sift through to figure out who the right fit for you. You may get recommendations or you may look online. But we've simplified it all in a quick, easy top 10 list of builders here in Greater Cincinnati that we've had great experiences with, so we could share that with you. Now, as you look at builders, there's a couple key components that you need to know. First, there's different type of builders. We are focused on custom home builders. You may have watched some of our other videos where we break down the different types. There's obviously production or volume-based builders, semi-custom builders, and then of course custom. Custom is typically the higher budget builders that just tend to be more expensive. They tend to really be able to start from scratch. But again, they're all a little bit different, so don't use that as a set standard for everybody. We are focused today on custom builders. And the next item is really, these are not a ranking in any particular order. These are just the top 10 that we've had great experiences with. Of course, we don't want to speak for any of these builders, so we encourage you to interview them, talk to them, but this is just a guide for how we feel we've interacted with them and what their competitive advantages are, what areas of town they're focused in. So we'll break down some key components for each of these builders so you can objectively measure each one. And lastly, we are the #1 team in Cincinnati. And because of that, we have a breadth of knowledge on these builders. We've worked with so many of them. We have a new construction division focused on these builders and finding opportunities for them. So when it comes down to it, we do have a bias because we represent so many of these builders. So we wanted to put that out there just so you didn't think we were a little jaded pushing one agenda versus the other. But ultimately it comes down to, these are the builders in the areas. These are the ones that we trust. Heck, I built my personal home with them. My brother built his house with them. My dad hired one of them as a renovation contractor. These are builders that we work with on a day-to-day basis, not just as our clients, but also individually. So let's jump right into it. Let's share with you #1, Classic Living Homes. So you may have heard of Classic Living Homes, especially if you're looking to build in the Montgomery, Indian Hill, Mason, Madeira areas. Classic Living Homes been around there for a long time. Headed by Bernie Kroman and Kathy Kroman, they've been around for decades building homes. And if you talk to anybody in the building industry, you know who they are. They typically start around the $1.2 million to $1.5 million price point and work their way up, heck, to $5, $6, $7 million. They are a great builder. And here's what I love most about them. First, they did build my personal house. I gotta throw that out there real quick because I do trust them. I've been around them. They built my dad's house back 20 years ago as well. But Bernie's main competitive advantage is he's your guy throughout the entire process. He's the one you deal with. He works from plans all the way to closing out the house at the end. He is your supervisor. This is his competitive advantage because he's there. He knows every facet about your house. Not only that, he is one of the best I've ever seen at delivering homes on time and on budget. He knows what he's doing, and that comes from his 40 years of experience. He always talks about his German background. He really keeps his schedules really tight. He is very, very good at what he does. So if you're looking to build a house in the Montgomery, Indian Hill, Madeira, or just a high-end custom home anywhere, he's a great choice to consider an interview. #2, you have Fry Custom Homes. So Fry is a newer name to the business over the past 4 or 5 years, but he's really just come in like a wrecking ball in a great way. And I say wrecking ball, he does a lot of tear downs in the Montgomery, Blue Ash, Madeira areas. He does quite a few builds in the city of Cincinnati, some out in Mason as well. But Ben built his business over the course of the past couple of decades, really focused on flips in the beginning and then worked his way into some development and now of course into custom homes. And Ben is a guy that's very unique because he is the quickest at turnaround. He makes things happen very fast. So in a day and age where building a home can take a while to get plans together, selections, Ben, his wife Crystal, their supervisor Jed, they're fantastic about listening, hearing what you're saying, and being able to articulate it and put it into action very, very quickly. And his budgets range anywhere from $600,000, $700,000 up to $1.5 million, $6, heck, $2 million. And that's really his sweet spot of where he is. He's a fantastic builder. Again, a great one worth interviewing. All right, next up, we have J&K Custom Homes. You may have met Michelle or her father. They've been around the business for quite a while, been involved in a number of home-oramas over the years. They were focused out in Mason for a long, long time, but have slowly started to come into the city a little bit. They're in Loveland, they're in Montgomery, Indian Hill quite a bit. And they're a little bit different. They have a really unique business model in the fact that they are high-end custom homes. They are obviously starting probably in the $1.2 million, $1.3 million, working their way up. But Michelle, being a female-owned businesswoman, she runs her business very tightly and is all about the relationships with clients. Now, this is true for most builders, but for them, they are really making sure that what you have in your mind comes out on paper. Doesn't matter if it's a modern home, traditional home, whatever it is, they can do it. And they have a team that works with them between a designer, a site supervisor, they have their builder groups. They've really focused on honing the team to make sure that they have a well-rounded group just for you to build a house. So J&K has a little bit different competitive advantage compared to everybody else in the fact that they are all client focused and they will see it through to make sure you get the vision that you want. And they've assembled that team to craft that exact vision into reality. Next up, we have Hensley Homes. If you know Tim Hensley or John Hensley, you probably, if you're looking in the Indian Hill area, you've probably seen their name a time or two or 20. They've been around for a long, long time. Tim Hensley is obviously he started the company back years ago, I believe with his brother, and his son John is now coming to the business, and I'm lucky enough to consider John a friend, and I got to know them very well. What's different about Hensley is Hensley's really honed in and focused on the Indian Hill area, and really they'll do houses anywhere, but because of their transparent costing models and you get to see everything how it is, people really tend to like that. And of course, they have so much experience in doing these custom high-end homes that you can see firsthand that they've had the background. So for that, those old houses, or the ones they've done in the past couple of years, you can use that to understand the costing of where you're going to be. And of course, they have a designer and an architect that helps to craft that design, just like a lot of these other custom home builders, but it's all about those people. Now pause for a moment, because as we've laid out 4 builders so far, all of them are just little tweaks on each other. They all do business very differently. However, when it comes to the design process and the building process, it's all about the personalities and who's the team working around you. So just take that into account as I start talking through these other builders, because it's really, really important. Next up, we have Brad Oyler at Sterling Homes. So you may know Sterling. Sterling's been around for a while. Brad started his company with the focus being in the city of Cincinnati. He's built houses in plenty of other areas, but really always comes back to building in the city. Tax abated properties, LEED oriented properties, which LEED is energy and energy leadership and energy efficient design. So really crafting those super high efficient homes, and he's focused in the city of Cincinnati. Now again, he's done properties in Anderson and in Loveland, out in Lebanon. These builders can go anywhere, but of course they tend to gravitate towards what they know best. And this is one area. So his team focuses on that. So he really knows how to build in the city, how to follow that process well, knows the key players, can make you get through this process in a very simple fashion because he has the experience on this. Building in the city is not easy. So this is a really, really great focus of his. Brad right now is building anywhere from 10 to 12 homes a year and really focused on being an active part of the jobs himself as one of the job supervisors out there, but has a great team on his side that's helping him manage all of these jobs. You may see him in Walworth Junction, maybe in Homerama coming up in 2025, which is over at Foundry Park. There's a few other areas as well, but he is focused in the city and he just loves it. Great at one of the best there is out there. All right, we're gonna jump into another city builder, which is Legendary Custom Homes. And city builder may not be the right way to put it, but Matt Stanley, who I'd also consider a friend, heck, all of these guys are friends between Brad and Bernie and all of, because this is such a small network of people. So Matt Stanley focuses on communities that are walkable, right? He loves areas like Mount Lookout, Hyde Park, City of Montgomery, Madeira. These are areas where you can craft a lifestyle based on where you live. And Matt's built a really interesting business because it's really surrounded by market homes. Market homes. He wants to craft what's in his mind and he wants to deliver it to a client. And he can do that and control the timing, the pricing, everything, and roll it out in a really easy fashion so a client doesn't have all of these extras to think about. Most people just want to walk right into a home and say, I love it. This is the one I want to buy. And that's what Matt does really, really well. So that's his focus. Now, he does areas all around the Indian Hill, Montgomery, Madeira, as I mentioned, but he's really around those really great aesthetically pleasing homes from an inside and an exterior fashion, but also about the process, keeping control of his process so then you as the consumer is really, really happy for how it all gets laid out. And that's really his goal and why he has so many happy clients. Now let's jump into Wieland Builders. So if you don't know Wieland, you probably don't know Jeff or Mike Wieland. Their father was actually Jack, but they've been in the business forever. And one of the foundations of their company is truly family, honesty, integrity. These are some of the best folks in the business. And it's because of that background of who they are. And they've built all sorts of homes over the years. But their office is located up in Tylersville. And they really cast a wide net of where they build. They don't really have anywhere they won't go. They'll build for anybody and everywhere because they know it's really about the client. It's about what the client wants and making sure the client's needs match what they can deliver. And of course, from an attitude and people perspective, that's really what it's big about. They built houses down in Walworth Junction, which is one we're selling right now for. We're fortunate enough to get to work with them. But they've also built big spreads, big country spreads in the States, just incredible homes. So it casts a very wide net. But I would say this is what I love most about Jeff and Mike is they're truly not afraid to get their hands dirty. They're there. They are truly builders. When I say builders, they're out there on the job sites. I was just with Jeff the other day. He was helping the contractor set up a golf simulator, and that's one of the cleaner jobs he's ever done. They have an excavating business, I believe. They are there on the job sites, and it's all about the relationship, family, just the component of making people feel really good about building. Let's go into, I'd say, a new person on the street, but he's not so new anymore. He's been around for a long time. Graham Daley and Daley Design Build. Daley he's an anomaly out there. He wants to focus only on one area pretty much, and that's in Indian Hill. Now, of course, he does some properties in Montgomery and Madeira, but he's keeping it really tight. And I've been lucky enough to know Graham for, gosh, almost 15, 20 years now. He's really heavy on the design and the process. He doesn't listen to anybody to say this is how it's always been done. He will change things. Heck, I just talked to him about patenting a gutter downspout lock that goes onto the house. He focuses on moving that, pushing the envelope, really just moving the ball forward in a new, creative, exciting way. And that's why he really loves Indian Hill. He loves the character of these old homes. He loves building these estates. This is what he grew up knowing. He's been around it his entire life, and that's what makes him special. And he's designed a team of literally the best of the best, and he's very critical of everybody to make sure it's done well and done right. We're lucky enough to have several clients go through the process with him, and they're just ecstatic about what he does. But again, he's a visionary in that from the standpoint of, like, he does not want it just to be a run-of-the-mill cookie cutter custom home. And it's hard to believe you're spending $2 million on a cookie cutter. But trust me, sometimes they start to create the same things and it doesn't end up being creative or new. He is really pushing the envelope to make that a little bit different. So keep an eye on Graham and Daley Design Build, because they've come out of nowhere over the past 4, 5, 6 years. He's been in the business for a lot longer than that, but it's under his own umbrella, been quite a special guy, and he's doing some special things. Let's jump into Hueber Custom Homes. So if you don't know John Hueber or his sons, Mark and Andy are kind of taking it over now from what we understand. They've done a great job. And you'll see their signs peppered throughout Montgomery, Indian Hill, Hyde Park, some uber luxury high-end homes. I'd say they focus on some of the top, highest end custom homes that you're gonna see out there. Not that every builder can do this, but that is their niche and that's where they're focused. In fact, they're in Homerama 2024 this year, which is out at Stone Pillars. Kind of rare for you to see them in Homerama in a while, but it's obviously a fantastic site, so I see exactly why they did it. But when you look at what they do, they're really special in the design, the organization. They've set up clients for life. They've built some really, truly incredible custom homes. I mean, I'm not even gonna dare to guess the cost of the homes they've done, probably $3 to $10 million, maybe more than that. Who knows? Some very, very custom homes. If you're driving through Indian Hill, you're going to see those. So they tend to be on that higher end of the price point, but you get what you pay for on that, and that's why people tend to gravitate towards builders like Andy and Mark and John Hueber at Hueber Homes. And last but not least, we're going to jump over to the other side of the river for a second and talk about Cutter Construction and also True North, which is two companies that are kind of married together in some ways. But Cutter Construction is a guy named Jim Cutter. Jim Cutter's on the Northern Kentucky side. But when I say veteran, there is no truer veteran. He's a guy that grew up in Newport, Kentucky, been there all his life. I think he finally moved out. I think he's in Cold Springs now. But he is the Northern Kentucky guy. True and true, knows what he's doing, knows everybody over there. And when it comes to building in Northern Kentucky, he is your guy. Now, of course, he comes over to this side of the river as well, into Cincinnati. But when you look at Jim knows how to get stuff done. He's very creative. He is a workhorse. I don't think there's anybody that works harder than Jim Cutter. Now, these guys work really hard. So when you look at, relatively speaking, they're all working their butts off. But Jim Cutter, I think he goes to sleep at 2 a.m. and he wakes up at 6 a.m. He's a workhorse. And he's always there, always available, and just a really impressive guy. Again, another guy that I'm lucky enough to call a friend. He is fantastic. So if you're looking in Northern Kentucky, or you have a project that's maybe on more of a hillside, he is a great hillside builder because he knows what he's looking at, knows how it works, and has had a lot of success. Especially he did one in Home Fest for True North, and he's just had some really successful projects. And not only that, he doesn't just do custom homes, he also does some larger scale, not commercial, but condo projects and that sort of thing as well. So he's a really impressive builder, one that I would keep my eye on if you're looking in Northern Kentucky specifically. So there you have it. Those are, in our opinion, the top custom builders in greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. And again, top is a very vague word and we know it's vague, but these are the builders that our clients have had great experiences with. Now, a couple other items to take home is not every builder is great for every person. So you really need to interview your builders, talk through them. So don't take this as all the weight and just like, I need to interview these top 10. Pick one or two out that you like, or as we always suggest, is find an area of town you want to focus in, see who's building in that area of town, see who has the lots that you enjoy. Because unfortunately, lots that are out there's only a handful of them out there, and you may love this builder, but this builder has the lot, so you got to talk to them. So don't always fall in love with the builder first, but it doesn't hurt to start talking to these builders now, just to get your bearings, understand what you're working with. And again, as the top new construction team here in Greater Cincinnati, please lean on us. We're here to help. If you're looking out in the Montgomery area or the Blue Ash area, there may be two different groups of builders, even though they're that close, that are focused in those areas. We can give you that insight. We are here to help you. And again, there are dozens of other builders out there that are worth considering. This is just our opinion. And of course, we represent some of these folks. Some of these folks we don't at all, but we have relationships with them. And we know there's been dozens of successful clients of ours and other people's clients that have had great relationships and great experiences building. Feel free to get started. And as always, please like and subscribe to our videos. And of course, if you have any questions, you can email me, mike@oylerhines.com. Give me a call on my cell phone, 513-260-0424. And always reach out to anybody on our team, Oyler Hines at Colway. Thanks, and stay tuned for our next video.